Bueno, pues entonces van las preguntas en inglés. Samir, si quieres te empiezo a preguntar y de ahí vamos.
Bueno, sí.
Perfecto. Okay. My first question would be, Samir, if you could tell us a little bit about the region where Honeyland takes place and also your relationship to that region.
Right. It's a really central part of Macedonia, or now North Macedonia officially. So it's basically a region where one river, Bregalnica, it's passing by, and we discovered this region because it was part of the nature conservation project, which we were commissioned to make some promotional video about that project. So because of we knew what is our next project as a team, because we were finishing another documentary called Lake of Apples, which was also an environmental documentary. We started with research in that region. So Ljubomir Stefanov, the director, producers, he went together with my colleague. They needed to shoot some vultures because that region is really interesting point of view of biodiversity. So they were there to shoot some vultures, and they find out these beehives. That's how uh, uh, later on they found Atije, and we started shooting with her, our main character. Our connection is basically that. So we knew that this part is part of the nature conservation project. So we went there on the location scouting or to research what we should shoot so it can be part of the video which we're supposed to make.
Is it part of the Balkan Mountains?
It is in the Balkan in the Balkan region. Yeah, it's in my country where I'm coming from, an entire crew actually. It's just 70 kilometers from where I am now, so it's not very far from here. But it's very difficult to reach the place because it's off-road, it's abandoned village. It was really hard, especially in winter when you don't see the road.
Okay.
Samir, I'm sorry, Samir. Could you turn off your screening share while you're not showing us anything?
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, so we can see like this, and then later.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
And can you tell us a little bit of about how this project came to you and why you decided to participate in it?
Personally, I was working before with Ljubomir on his projects, which was mostly uh, promotional videos about environmental issues. And actually, I left Macedonia. I went to live in Dominican Republic and later on in Ecuador. So that was my I left, and actually I recommended my colleague Fahmy to overtake all the projects that I was involved in before I left. That was in 2012, yeah. So when I came back in Macedonia, Ljubomir find out that I'm back. Of course, we are friends. So he invited me to be part of Lake of Apples. And I was a bit of like, oh, come on, you already have a cinematographer, why do you want two cinematographers? He said, no, we are limited of time. So we have just 1 month to shoot and to deliver. And we have so much things that we have to do. So it will be good. So basically, Tamara became also part of the team as a co-director. And that project basically taught us that we could do it, that we as a team like four of us, we can manage to work together without any conflicts. Every single member of the crew, with his own impact, was making the project much more interesting and entire atmosphere while working on that. And later on Honeyland, it was just naturally. We knew that we have only 3 months to deliver a project. It was completely different. We never thought that it will be a feature-length documentary.
Mhm.
So we were commissioned for 3 months to make short video documenting a project. Part of that was honey beekeeping. So when we discovered Atije, it was good because we were two cinematographers, so we will split because we were limited of resources and time. It was very hard to reach there and to stay 2-3 days for maximum because we didn't have electricity, we didn't have always car to be able to go there. So it was really good that we were two cinematographers. So I didn't expected that these 3 months of agreement with Ljubomir that I will be engaged, because I was really planning to go back to Ecuador.
Oh.
I didn't expect that it will take 3 years of shooting, and basically only Honeyland was keeping me kind of being present here in Macedonia, because I was really, you know, we all fall in love with our characters, with the subject. So we were pushing and going and going and going to shoot until we finished the project. So that was the only thing actually, basically, which was keeping me here.
Can you tell us about the prep? How did you go about exploring what was before your eyes? How did you look for significance and textures?
Yeah. Um, you know, like, in the beginning, because it was completely different concept. So we spent almost 5 months of shooting material which basically was not able to be used, or we decided that this is not going to be the style of the documentary because it's completely different. We were in the beginning, we were more focused to make to have like more like production values. So we were using stabilizing camera, drone footage a lot of time. So it was completely different because we only had her and her work with the bees and the landscape. So we didn't have the story. We just wanted to make as much as possible beauty shots of some ancient way of beekeeping. But later on, because we were present there, we will be witnessing how she's communicating with her mother. It becomes naturally to be curious to went in the hut to shoot, you know, to make some photos. When you see the photos, you're like, oh my God, you know, like this looks so good. Basically, we were lucky. Um, First, it was really, we decided that we not, first, we didn't have enough money budget to be able to get generators or additional lighting to make it look better. It's not gonna work. So now from this perspective, I'm so happy that we didn't have electricity, that we have that kind of location, that we didn't touch anything. We only use sometimes some reflectors, which are like a whiteboard, which we found there, or sometimes we were making some tests with photographic reflector, you know, like a silver, and that was the thing. So basically, the real conditions which we found there were, I can say, perfect. But from the other side, we didn't have commodity with the equipment. We had like DSLR, Nikon 800 and 810. only 2 lenses, 2870, and we had 105 macro for the
Bees.
bees.
Okay.
Later on, we bought another tele lenses, and it was a very interesting discussion we had. Maybe I should go through the photos, and
Yes, if you can show us some pictures of the inside of the house where you have like the beautiful shafts of light through the window and the chiaroscuros. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Go, so I will not repeat myself.
Okay.
I think that's better. Yeah. So wait, no, this is not the one that I need to share. I think it's yeah.
Ah, that's the one. Okay.
Okay, so basically these are one of the first shots. I didn't have photo camera because I'm not gonna, like all my equipment will get stolen, so I came back without any equipment. So I was using my phone. So these photos I made with the phone, and these are the first photos I did from Atige, which it was some kind of like this is so interesting as a character to be able to shoot and to make photos of. So this was basically our dining room and DIT place and the resting place. So we didn't have any comfortable chairs or something for most of the time. This was the way of transportation when we were not able to get the 4x4 Jeep vehicle, which we were renting. It was not always available. So we will ask some of the Hussein to give us a ride from Durfulia, from the closest village where we could come with the car, or Tamara was driving sometimes without driving license. So this is my terrifying experience while driving off-road with Tamara. So like we were always kind of on the edge, not only while shooting in the places where Atige is her natural place where she's keeping her beehives, but also we were always on the edge with the light when we were shooting inside the room, because it was very dark, but also very smoky. Her stove didn't have any chimney, so all the smoke inside the room was present. And it was really good that we were two cinematographers. Sometimes Ljubomir will also take the camera and try continue shooting, because it was not, you cannot stand more than 30 minutes breathing that kind of air. So you can see, this is the equipment. We had only one. We were also working on the sound recording. We didn't have sound recorders on the field, on the set. So we had this Rode microphone and 2 cameras and 2 pairs of lenses. When we bought one of the tele lenses, we were discussing should we buy Atomos, because we were like, okay, this is getting serious. The footage that we have is getting serious, and we are only shooting in HD. So maybe there will be time which we will be probably offering to National Geographic, or we will discuss like this. So the minimum standard is 4K, and we didn't have that kind of cameras. So also Atomos will be practical for having a better control for focus, bigger monitor, on the bright sun, but we choose to buy another lenses 700 70 200, because that was much more equipment that we were in need at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, the winter was really very surprising, because usually it's very mild in that region. You know, like there will be snow, but it will not last for long. uh, 2 winters in a row, we had really luck, let's say, where there was enough snow and it was frozen for almost 3 weeks. It was there, so we will keep going back as much as we can to continue, or we will get stuck close to the village and trying to do by ourselves. When we were working with Atij, um, we never had a protection gear to protect ourselves from the bees. So basically, we trusted the way how she was working with the bees. So uh, I really don't know, when I see this photo or the footage I have of this scene that Ljubomir, me and Ljubo on this moment when Atica just told us that there is a swarm, and she just grabbed the basket and she left to try to catch the new queen bee with her song. So this was this scene until I get some courage to just get into the swarm and keep shooting, because it was perfect. There was a sunset, the bees. Luckily, we didn't had any ND filters, so we will push more on shutter speed. And if you know the scene, like the bees, they become visible because there was not the motion blur was not that present. So sometimes it's good to.
What, sorry, Samir, what shooter speed were you using there with the
I mean,
beads?
well, not always. This was mostly because I we really wanted to work with as much as open shutter, but I mean, we were pushing sometimes to 500, to be honest. Depends of that was the way how we were compensate to make the exposure, because we didn't had any filters and the filters to be able to properly to control the shutter.
Okay.
Yeah, half dressed, that was the way. And luckily I was never stung, but my colleague Femi, this was the situation when he was attacked by the bees. And I still don't I can't uh, imagine how he managed to climb just on the hill from this edge. So this is the food, how we were cooking while the director is taking rest in this hammock. And yeah, sleeping in the tents in the yard. This is the tent which we made it. We had many situations which were not part of the movie, like some of the wolves which attacked the cow of Atije and killed her. So we will come back and we will set up this tent to be able to wait for the footage of the wolves in the village, which we couldn't manage to shoot. Um, yeah, just several words I want to mention about Atije and her charisma. This photograph is taken by Petar Pavlovsky, one friend of mine in Sarajevo, when she was on the festival. And this is her touch with somebody who is talking with her, who saw the movie. And you can see the goosebumps, like basically
Yes.
everyone who meets her, it's like she's like a saint. This is audience in Turkey. She was very happy to be on some of the festivals, especially in Turkey. because in Turkey she could communicate with the audience. She could answer the questions on Q&A, which usually when we were on the other festivals, it was much difficult for her to communicate other language. Yeah, and the Oscars. So from that head to the Oscars. So Honeyland. Yeah, I will go in the room, and maybe we can. Yeah, I can talk about the lighting and so in this room, depends of the season. There was always different kind of mood and lighting. Luckily, we had a door, and here in particular, because the sun was not always only in the winter, and this is summer shot. In the winter, um, the sun was much lower, so we will have a really nice ray of light getting through the window and door, which we were using to just to fill a bit more the room. But this in particular, this scene, we were using from outside, from the edge of the door, between inside and outside, just to get some more lighting with a silver reflector to bounce inside. Otherwise it will be very, very dark. So yeah, and I think it's really nice. The winter is different. You can see the yellow window a bit. It's a yellowish because it was really natural. I think I have, yeah, you can see here the window. This is the door and the window, the position of the door. It's a really small, very small room. Two beds, one next across each other, and yeah, this is the lighting from half from the window and the door, and you can see the yellowish only because it has from the dirt. The window was from the dirt, naturally filter was making the diffusion of the light.
Samir, what ISO did you use in the dark moment?
The maximum we were when we were shooting with 800 in the beginning, and 810, we were not going more than 1600. Sometimes we could go to 3200, but it was like really, we were kind of worried about this. If it's some action that or something that it's happening, and it's more important to have something in camera from the action, then we will do it. But otherwise, we will not push more than 1600. But later on, with we bought a 5D, again Nikon. With that one, we could go even 6400. So, but we will not push that much. It was like 32 as well, 100 maximum ISO in this. And like the smoke in the room from the stove was perfect for the visibility of the sunlight.
Yeah, the shaft of light.
Yeah, it's really, and it was not always like this. This was only in winter. It's in December, end of December it's starting, and not always during the day. So usually this was in the end, I think, some of the last shooting days before the death of the mother passed away.
And Samir, I have a question regarding the interiors inside this room where the two women live. I suppose since it was a small space, I suppose that there were a lot of times when you were the only member of the crew there, maybe with the person who was doing the sound, but maybe there wasn't always the director by your side. So how did you go about
I think, yeah.
shooting what you, I mean, what you thought was going to be right to shoot? And also, how did you and the rest of the crew manage the fact that you guys didn't speak the same language as Hatice and her mother? So there's like, I mean, I suppose you relied a lot on the visual aspect and just try to shoot what was visually telling you something.
Right.
But tell us how you dealt with that and how you worked in this constricted space, maybe without the presence of the director all the time.
Yes. I mean, yeah. When we decided to shoot the situation between Hatice and her mother Nazife, it was mostly from the curiosity, as I said in the beginning, because we didn't know at the moment. We had discussion, how we will do, but then when we saw how Hatice is dealing with her mother, how she's bringing her food and feeding her, even we didn't understand what they're talking about. It was some kind of metaphor of what we are shooting, like the bees. So we saw the mother as a queen bee and Hatice as the bee who is bringing her food. And so we was like, okay, it could be artistic, so we can continue shooting. And I think the intimacy that we managed to have was partially because we didn't understand. They knew that we don't speak Turkish and we don't understand what they're talking, especially later on when we started shooting with the family. So even when they're fighting, when they're, they're very comfortable to do that in front of the cameras. Because I think they know, nobody understands what we are talking, so we can swear, we can do whatever we want.
Samir,
Yes?
how did you convince the family to be filmed if you don't speak their language? So the other family, the Turkish family.
Yeah. I mean, they all speak Macedonian language, the language that we are speaking. Hatice is speaking she's speaking 4 other languages. So it's very interesting. So basically, when we were communicating with them, we will talk and they will tell us what was about, but they will not be able to translate everything what they said or what was the topic that they were discussing. So we will have something in mind what could be, and you are always relying on the body language, especially when you're monitoring. Okay, with the kids, if somebody is screaming, it will get your attention, so you will follow that action. And it was good that we were 2 cinematographers, so in the situation with the family, because there's always something happening. It's always some kind of mess. So it was good, we will just like, I knew that I saw something's happening, but I need wide lenses, and I will just tell to my colleague, like, okay, give me the wide lenses, I want to go and shoot this thing. And he will try to catch other situation with the telelenses. So regarding your question, Alexandra, I think it was very easy. In the beginning, Hatice was the one who started relationship with the kids, because the relationship with the parents of the kids, it was already broken. It was not the first time that they're coming to the village for us was first time. We didn't knew about their existence. But for Hatice was not the first time. There were several seasons before, so they had many other conflicts between themselves from before. So when we come, we didn't know about them. When they arrived, Hatice told us that they are not very good neighbors, that they made her many difficulties in the past. And since we were shooting with Hatice and we didn't have all the materials, we were not immediately going to shoot with the other family. And at that moment, we still didn't know if that's necessity to continue shooting with them, because we had the idea of doing something completely different. As I said in the beginning, it was environmental video about one ancient beekeeper, nothing else. So how you will put these kids and family in that story?
They are the conflict.
Yes.
Well, yes, later on, but you know what? When you don't have enough budget, when you don't have enough money, and when you have a company who commissioned you who are not interested into filmmaking, they're not into filmmaking industry, and they're dealing with the deadlines, it was very hard to justify to have even 3 more months of shooting. And we justified the way that we said, yes, um, to be able to shoot all the stages of beekeeping, we need to be longer in the season. So if we missed, for example, the new swarm, we needed to postpone the shooting for the next May before we deliver. But that was our strategy, how we were buying time, because we knew that something valuable we have as a story.
I have other question about the limits, like cinematographer, because when the girl isn't swimming and almost die,
Right? Yeah.
how you stay there and don't go for the girl? You know, it's like.
I mean, in particular situation, if you can, I wish I had this clip to play so I can explain exactly what happened. Um, my colleague was behind the camera,
Okay.
and he saw the droning. So he was the one who started yelling for the kids. But because of the sound of the river, they heard something. So you can see that all the kids are just turning towards the camera and missing what is happening. So sometimes if you have a right reaction, can cause more, you know, like as a person, it's a natural reaction if you see somebody droning, just not to keep. So he just forget the camera and he started yelling to the kids because they were closer. You know, it was not the situation that it's only one person. Like I take the example of Aquarela, for example. I don't know the documentary of Kosakowski, where, you know, like in front of you, you have a person who is droning and you're not able to help. So it was also the situation where if probably it was only the Atije and the kid, and you know Atije is not swimming, you will be the one who will go jump and help, I'm sure. But you will leave the camera shooting.
But you do have like several situations like that. You have the little baby who gets stung by the bee, then the girl who gets stung by the bee with her swollen eye, and when she falls and hits on her chest with a log. I mean, the sound of that was just like really shocking to me. But yeah, you have many situations like that, but you kind of know that they're resilient people and that adults are nearby and they're going to react if they have to. But it is like a question we sometimes, the people who do documentary, ask ourselves, when do you interfere and where do you just stay put and just shoot?
We had many discussion about that. Not only about the situation, we had so many other situations which were very like, oh, what are we doing? We knew that we are there temporarily. We are not going to stay forever. And if we try to interrupt or to try to make the things differently, which we think that it's right way, the moment when we leave, their life will continue as before. So we decided that, yeah, we are there, we are guests, and we're going to follow what is happening. We're not going to interrupt in their relationship, in their way of dealing with stuff. You know, for me, the hardest was when they grab the chainsaw and go to cut the tree. So, you know, like probably you could react, you could stop them, you could make them, no, this is bad. You will go, they will go back, they will cut, and you will not have it in the camera. You will not manage to shoot that. Because, for example, even the buyer was very proud of himself in the movie. On the premiere, he was on the stage waving Macedonian flag, very proud. Because it's the way of life. Even we see, or I will say, like people see the family with the kids, Sam family, as the villains and somebody who are destroying the life of Atija with their behavior, with their way of thinking. Especially, we were getting reactions from the North America or from the developing countries, which are more environmentally aware, and that how they dare to steal their honey, and they were concerned about this. Yes, they were doing something which was not good. They were overtaking the honey more than they supposed to do, which caused a lot of troubles to everyone there. But they're also on the edge of the society. They are marginalized in society because of so many kids they have. They're living a poor life. It's the way how they exist, and there is always somebody who is stronger than them in the hierarchy, like the buyer who came even in the beginning. That's the first thing which we shot when he came to bribe them with the blankets and the carpets. We were like, why? Like, where are they gonna use these carpets in the mud in the house? It was very. But later on, we figure out that actually that's the way how he is bribing them before the season, so he will be the one who will use the opportunity to say, yeah, I'm a good person. You know what I did for you? I gave you this, so now you have to give me back. So that's how everything function, I can say, in the capitalism. So that was really perfect way to show the directors. We were lucky that even we knew that we want to have a buyer in the story, and we were discussing how we're gonna manage this. Luckily, I was shooting one commercial, and one of the art directors of the marketing agency, I show him the teaser in that moment, which we were using for fundraising. And he was like, "Oh my God, where is this region? I want to meet this lady. I want to buy this honey and to brand it." So he was like, this could be very interesting, like somebody who's coming from very capitalistic background, thinking about marketing, how to make a profit, how to make the perfect packaging and stuff, could possibly go and negotiate with Atije, who doesn't know anything about it. And then we were discussing, maybe it will be very interesting to allow him to bring him and to shoot him if he wants to shoot this kind of situation, to see how Atije will understand whether it's good for her. And we were imagining, like, oh, can you imagine Atije in the end of the movie if she's going in the supermarket and not able to be will be not able to afford to buy her own honey because it will be very expensive. That was, some of the early ideas. So we knew that we want buyer, and luckily the real buyer, which even if we this cannot be scripted. We were really lucky that all these characters, as they are, showed and were very cooperative to allow us to film them.
Samir, how do you go about establishing a relationship with the different characters, and what kind of a relationship do you establish with them during shooting?
Yeah, with song or cooking or dancing.
Excellent.
I mean, you know, as a cinematographer in documentary, it's really important to establish the relationship with the subject. It's not only the directors who are interacting, they should be comfortable with your presence as well. It's not a film crew who is dealing with an actor. So everyone on the set needs to have some kind of connection with them so they can feel very comfortable who they are, to be able to give to perform as who they are. So I don't know, I love people, and I think one of the way how you approach to people is you open yourself. You know, I just when I was trying to find some photos, I saw some of our first footage when she was fortune telling me in the coffee. So you know, we were drinking coffee. She will tell me, I will also do, because it's some kind of custom here in the Balkans. You know, when you finish a Turkish coffee to put, and then they will tell you the fortune, the cup of coffee. That actually happened in New York when Atije was telling the fortune in the cup of coffee to Sarah Jessica Parker. That was a hilarious scene. You know, like I never imagined that that could happen. Yeah, so that's one way. But for example, from my other experience, when you're dealing with different kind of people, it's mostly the same. You know, like um, you're open, you have enough time before starting shooting or after or in between, so you can meet them and you can talk, you can be humble. So that's the way how you establish the relationship. um, and we were always kind of, you know, like Luba was uh, um, we were presenting that he's, because he was our boss at the moment, he was a producer and director, and we should listen. So if something go wrong, if we are so calm, I mean so mellow with in the communication, and you see that this doesn't help you a lot, because you know the kids become not cooperative, or they're making fun of you, or they're teasing you, you know, you become so close to them that they don't even consider you anymore as somebody who say, okay, let's go and film now on that location, you have to show me something, or you know, like, or can you please go again from here to here, because it is the best lighting to make this kind of footage of yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Were all the characters happy about the final result?
Yes, we are still in contact with everyone,
Mm-hmm.
not only with Atice, with Sam family, and it's we when we when we premiered the movie on Sundance, we didn't know what will be the overcome of the year which was in front of us.
Yep.
And we knew that we are not financially uh, able to support them, not to pay for what they did for us, but you know, they have like basic needs, like a family
But
with with 7 kids in the movie, but on our premiere in Sundance, the 8th kid was born, and it was just 1 year after we stopped shooting. So they didn't had heating, and the winter was coming. So we will collect money. We bought to Atije a small house, which during this year we were able to uh, make the conditions, better conditions for living. So there is electricity, there is a proper toilet, there is a proper kitchen, there are beds, 3 rooms. So she chose the house. We didn't suggest it. So it is in the village, which is close by to her brothers and some other relatives and friends. So we, as a filmmakers, we didn't stop with shooting and festivals. So through the year, we managed to register non-governmental organization which is working on the projects of keeping the tradition in environmental projects. And this year, with promotion of Honeyland, we managed to collect the donations from all around the world, which we managed to help and to engage social workers who are working with the kids, with Atije and the family, to make their living conditions better. And it's still ongoing. We didn't stop. We are still engaged in this.
Super. Did they have any expectations in the very beginning, or it's something
Never,
that just happened?
never
Super.
expectation, and we couldn't say anything because um, basically four of us, we were working for less than you can imagine.
Because I was very surprised about how pure they appear. It's really
Yeah,
beautiful.
we couldn't tell anything. Even now, we are not revealing them any further plans, because as we collect money, we are making the next step. So we are keeping them happy and healthy, and trying to pay back in the end for the friendship, not for what they allowed us to do. You know, we really care about them.
Mhm. And how was when the mother died?
When the mother died, we already had one version of the movie, and we didn't expected that even, you know, you could predict that it could possibly happen, but we were finishing the movie without that scene. And Atite, basically, when her mother died, we already stopped shooting. We were in the process of editing. And when her mother died, Atije, we were the first that she called to tell us that her mother died. And Ljubo and Feko were free at the moment, so they managed to walk for 4 hours during the night to arrive there in the winter, to be able to be with Atije and to shoot, because she called us. I know that they were very devastated with that fact that they went there, especially because some of the family members were already there, and they were not very keen on the presence of camera and the crew. But Atije was the one who said, like, no. In the last 3 years, they're the one who are visiting me the most. They're really allowed to do whatever they think they should do. So it was really her decision as well. Even, you know, like on one interview or Q&A, I don't remember exactly now, she mentioned that somebody asked her, what is the hardest part of the movie that you were involved? She always mentioned, you know, like, it's always the hardest when I see the scene of the death of the mother. So it really influenced her. Yeah.
But if she called you, was because she really understand the movie too.
Yeah, I mean, probably the directors, they already talked with her and said, you know, if something happened, she announced actually that her mother is getting very sick. And they agree that, okay, if something happened, please call us and let us know. So, you know, she just did, and she just called us, and we were there. And it was interesting, that footage was not very useful because of the sound. You know, when you're watching the movie, and if you come to the scene of with her mother, there was so much noise from the people outside who were speaking, which was very hard to clean because it was between the dialogue. She was crying over her mother when she was there. And luckily, we discovered amazing sound designer, Rana 8 from Lebanon, who did a really amazing job with the sound design and editing. So she managed to clean all the background noise and to leave the dialogue. Because, you know, we are not, we didn't had good equipment for sound. We had one Zoom H4, I think, which we will throw everywhere if there is some action, and try to hide in the grass between under the stone or somewhere close by. We had one lavalier, which Atije was always wired mainly. If she's part of the scene, she was the main person that we will wire. Or if we are shooting with the family, some of the family members, which will think it will be the crucial in certain situation when we start shooting. And this shotgun on the camera I wrote.
Samir, can we go back to the pictures where you have the oil lamps and the candles?
Yeah, I can do this. Wait a minute. Oops. Do you see?
No.
Okay, sorry. I'll try now. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I mean, for the interior shooting, as I said, we just rely on the natural light and the oil lamps and candle light. Oil lamp was really, really hard to control because it has this kind of very strange flicker itself that you cannot control, but it is also part of kind of a magic that we didn't hesitate to be comfortable when we were shooting with the oil lamp. Especially, I really like it because when you have this single light, the eye light is also very present, which was sometimes we find very difficult for the focus. You know how it is difficult to focus on the small screen on the DSLR with zoom lenses, photographic lenses to be able to. Or as you can see, sometimes Atije will never light two candles. So this is our intervention. To be able to have something and not to make radio drama, to make a movie. So we will light one more candle just to have more lights in the room. Or as you can see, we have candles from two sides, one from the window and one from the other side, which we used as a side light. I mean, many times we were using candlelight between as a backlight and the key light for the other person in the scene, and it's really beautiful. I don't know, you know, like when we started with festival life of the movie and on the Q&A or the interviews, or when we were reading reviews when they were mentioning all the Dutch painters, it was really a compliment. But to be honest, probably because in the 15th century, the only light in the interior was the candle light. That's why the painters were able to make all these masterpieces. And luckily, we didn't have any electricity to be able to ruin our image, our picture in Honeyland, especially with interiors with the candle light and the natural light. And the fire, like in the yard or outside when Atije is going to, we will be during the night somewhere and we will not be able to go back because she needs to collect the bees early in the morning and it's like 2 hours walking to that spot. Then we will stay overnight there and we will set up fire. And it was really hard for the continuity of the scene because the gaffer was Tamara or Ljubomir, one of the directors, and the tool was spare small wooden dry sticks, which if the fire gets down, they will just throw more paper just to get the flame bigger to have the same kind of intensity of the light. Like you can see here, when the light is bigger, you have more. But I really like the new project that I'm preparing. Uh, it's a short fiction movie. I also I'm gonna use the same kind of light because I really like this,
Mm.
and it's also because of the story of the short. So it's not only because I like this; it really fits the story in the boat in Honeyland, but also in the new project. Um, um, yeah, using the silhouettes was something that we decided, and especially we were trying to catch the moments with the planes, because in the environment when we were shooting, if you don't see the plane, you will think probably it's not today. It's somewhere like 19th century. Who is living now like this? Until you get the moment with the radio somehow. So we try to catch these kind of moments. People are asking, is it CGI? No, there is nothing. We didn't even afford to buy one of the copyrights for the song that we catched in one scene. So that's why we have same song, "You're So Beautiful" twice in the movie. So
Samir, I think it's very impressive that the characters, like, they never acknowledge the presence of the crew. They never acknowledge the presence of your camera. It's really amazing. So how I mean, did you tell them not to look at the camera, not to look at you, or was it just that they got used to it, to all of you from being so long with them?
both things. In the beginning, as I told you, it was completely different concept. So we told Atije. So in the first 3 to 5 months, she kind of become trained not to look at the camera because we were making kind of commercial, let's say. Um, and later on, she just accepted like that, and it was really very pleasant to work with her. She's very natural, like a talent, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother was blind and deaf, so very hardly she will be aware that we are present in the room.
Okay. But the
Like she know,
children also, the Sam family, they're just
yeah,
like,
the children was difficult. That's why you can notice that some of the children are more into the movie. It was hard
yes.
to decide who's gonna be the leader because we were following everyone.
Mm.
Some of them were much harder. Like the oldest, he was not very cooperative. He was shy. He didn't want it. There was another one who was always staring in the camera. It was hard to. So we were trying to avoid him not to be able
Mm.
to shoot. So and also two cameras when you're shooting, it's good. There's always another angle camera which can be used if some of the characters look at the camera, and that was a decision that we made early because we decided that it will be entirely shot without any talking heads. Whatever happens we happen, so we were really going back and forth for 3 years just to be able to get the right footage for to tell the story. And in the end, I can say that when they started editing, they were editing for half a year without any sound because they
Mm.
didn't know. So they were just,
Oh,
oh, this is nice picture. This is from the same scene. Maybe this works good until we get the transcript from the dialogues. And then
right.
the magic happens. I remember the messages Tamara was sending, like, "Oh my God, you know what the mother said on this?" They were really excited, and we were also excited because I was not involved into the editing. Of course, I will just go and see one of the versions of the movie, so we can be able to give a comment. Or like I remember, for example, we shot something that I think it was much better as a visual.
Uh-huh.
So we will insist, okay, let's go to see, maybe there is something. But mostly the editor, who is a producer also, did an amazing job because he didn't miss any frame of the footage that he saw so
Right.
much crap. He saw so much crap.
Well, Atije and her mother have some really great conversations. They're really amazing. You really have an amazing feeling of the relationship between mother and daughter. It's really great.
Yeah. As I told you, when I was searching for through the photos and the footage, I saw some clips that I did, because usually when I arrive, I will go inside the room to talk a little bit with the Atije mother to acknowledge that we are present, we are there. And I just played today one clip that it's very interesting. You know, she was actually, it's not in the movie. We didn't manage to, she's speaking in Macedonian with me, and she's explaining me actually how many daughters he had born, because Atije had like 3 more sisters who passed away before her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me the stories how one and the other died. And it's really intense.
Oh.
So basically she will know that we are there, but not very aware. The most problematic was the dog. How to make a dog not look at the camera.
Okay.
Yeah. Jackie.
Samir,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about the color grading process?
The color grading, Femi, I was busy. I didn't have time to be involved in color grading. I came to give some suggestions, but Feko, my colleague, he was working on the color grading, and he did one version, which unfortunately, he's always saying this story, that the directors and the producer, they didn't like it, but it was very stylized, which you know how it is when the director is used with the footage that they're working in the editing. When you give them a color corrected version, it becomes strange. You know, they're not used to that footage.
Yes.
Because we already shot. We didn't shot raw. You know, we already shot the images as we wanted to be in the camera to cut the process of post production. We knew that we will not have budget, we will not have time, so we just kept like that till the entire. And it was really some touches in the color grading. We didn't have too much effort in the second version. The one that everybody knows, actually. Even some parts we insisted to leave. Somebody will say, yeah, this could be very easily corrected in post. When you change the shutter speed, or when the exposure, because we had DSLRs, and it's like, you know, the f-stop, it's very notable when you're shooting the scene. There are 2 scenes where we left that, and it could be, you know, like, to be smooth, not to be, but that is like a signature, just to say, yeah, this is the equipment we had. We didn't have lenses where you can smoothly open the iris and change the push, or, you know, exposure.
Yeah, when I start watching the film, I really appreciate like this documentary feeling with this camera handhelds, because now that this is like all these documentaries that are like very stylized, like, yeah, like the image is, I mean, for some projects I like, or it works, but in your case I really like that feeling. I appreciate that, and congrats. It's a beautiful film.
Thank you. We had a discussion about that, because as I told you in the beginning, we were shooting with stabilized tripods, and but when we started shooting with the kids, they're all alive, you know, they're all mess. You can't shoot without handheld, you know. We were like, no, the dynamic, it's not only with them, but you are part of what are they doing. So you just grab. Sometimes you don't have even time to put the camera on the tripod. You just grab and you just go. Sometimes even in the moments in the Atije hut, I will say the example when first time she opened the wound, when we were able to see. You can see, you know, you're following the situation. She's preparing something. You don't know what is she preparing. She's not telling. It's her ritual, but it's first time you're there to witness. And when you see the wound, you know, you don't have time to say to Atije, please, can you repeat this? No, you just grab the camera and you go from the other angle where you can shoot that to be able to tell what's going on. And sometimes you feel you're there, you're observing, and you try to read their emotions, their gestures, to predict what they could do the next. For example, there is a moment which I'm following. She's preparing to treat the wound, and I'm not seeing the wound because I'm concentrated on the frame. It's a very dark. You just see that it's in focus. That's what you're concentrated. So you cannot see the details when the wound was open. But I noticed something which was, for the first time, the mother started doing with the leg down, like very nervous, like pack, pack, pack. And it was naturally like, I want to catch this. So you see that it's not very stable because we had a very bad tripods. I don't want to mention them. So, you know, you just try to catch this. And, you know, these are the things that came naturally when you're present, when you don't understand what they're talking or what they're doing in particular, but you're trying to read their emotions and try to catch that moment, which can be useful later on, and it happens to be.
Samir, I'm Celiana. How are you?
Hi, Celiana.
I have a question. The first time that you take us to see Atiji, when she opens for first time the stone, so we see the V's, how did you did that traveling of following her? You are at the edge, the camera is a little bit from above. How did you do that?
This is the footage from the beginning. This is one of the first time when we went to that beehive, which was most impressive. There were some others, but this was like something that we came several times to shoot there in different season. Even in the winter ones, when she told us that, because I will tell you the winter story later. Yes, in the beginning we had this drone. So the opening scene and the only footage from drone was when she's walking on the edge of that's the opening, and that's the only drone footage that we decided to leave in the movie. And the following of her on the edge was with the same camera, with the Osmo on the stabilizer, which we used as well, walking on the edge by the wall to keep her. We wanted, and we came to reshoot that approach to the beehive.
Okay.
Came again, because we wanted also that footage to be with the handheld. It was not what we liked more. The moment that was with the stabilized camera, because the all dynamics was the wind, her scarf. When we came next time, there was no wind. The bush was not windy, so all the dynamic was gone. Even if you are walking behind her with handheld, it couldn't replace the footage, the power of the footage that was shot before, which is in the movie.
Okay. Okay. And also, I think one of the most beautiful things to me on the film, I mean, the photography is amazing and everything, but how you show me are some parts on Natty J, like some close-ups that I can see the light in her eye for that life that she, I don't know, I can see her dreaming like in something else. I can see her, and you show me a character from for example, from the beginning. When you took me down to the city, when she sells the for first time the beat, it's like, oh, okay, we are in the actual time. Yes, she goes to a city. I was like completely lost, you know, in time, like because of the way she dressed and everything. I was like, when you took me into the city, I saw her for first time interacting with people, and that beautiful moment of the fan, you know, that they give it to her, say, this is for your mother, and how happy she is with that little thing, you know, and then bring it to her mom, or her face when she said, they kill all my bees, we have nothing to eat, it's no more. It just, I cried my eyes out, and the only thing that was that made me feel a little bit better is to know that you were there. It's like, I know they're there, they're not gonna die of starving. But her face, and then when she goes to the town with the fairy, and you see the spirit of her, you know, it's so beautiful. And then when she talks with the boy, and you see her reflecting about not having family, right? And you give me all these layers on the way that you approach her. That is one of the most beautiful characters I ever seen in a documentary. And I really I love your work. I met you at the ASC Awards. I saw you winning there. But I want to thank you, because at the end of the day, we're talking about humanity. It doesn't matter if it's Macedonia, Mexico, Canada, whatever. You brought me a story with the character is so unbelievable rich, and it has such a humanity on her that
And
I
it's
thank you so
universal.
much.
It's universal. It works
So much.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I think there is atije somewhere in every culture around the world.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautiful, and the whole dynamic with the Turkish family, completely, and the way that you guys approach it, you start seeing little by little how they start intruding her world, her peace, no, and suddenly you see the garbage, and you see how they're taking over the place. And I have wondered, what happened to the cows? Why did they die?
I mean, they were sick, and we were kind of upset that they didn't inform us on time.
Okay.
Because he told us when already he buried most of the cows, so around 100 cows passed away.
Yeah, something.
It was some kind of illness that it was not from starving. They didn't starve them to die, so it was some kind of disease which happened.
Okay.
Which was very hard for them, because that's one of the main incomes for the family that they have.
Of course.
And it was really big hit to that family when they lost all these cows, because you know, like the government is also giving some kind of subventions, some kind of help for the agricultures and the farmers, so they also rely on that kind of income, which they lost basically after what happened with the cows. Yeah, we couldn't help that. Many people were asking, you know, like why we didn't help the mother with the wound that she had, and what was that sickness. I mean, she didn't even wanted to leave the hut, because we also tried to ask Atije, can you please bring her out on the fresh air? It will be good for her. No, the mother was so stubborn that she didn't want to. and she was very powerful. It was the mother, and
Yes, of course.
it
And
is.
that's beautiful, because even though she's dying, she's sick and everything, you can see still the power that she has on Atje is very clear. And when you say, Mom, I want to take you to the sun, and she's like, no, you're not moving me from here, right?
I have a tree when she's saying I was, but also, you know, like when she started talking with her mother about the marriage, you know, what I'm gonna do when you passed away, when you die, and she's like quiet and yeah, get married, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the son-in-law will take us both, take care about us. Yeah.
And also,
Where she?
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I only want to know where is she now? She lived in the land?
Yeah, because of the coronavirus, because of the situation, she's back in the village, and now it's the season of swarming, so she's with her bees. Unfortunately, yesterday I read in the news, but I couldn't. She's not reachable until she called us. We cannot call her. I don't know how the journalist managed to talk. It's just a quote that she claimed that somebody stole and destroyed around 20 of her beehives. So we still didn't confirm this news because unfortunately, as a filmmakers, and also she and her fame and her popularity become a tool for the politicians to make political points, no matter of the you know, whether it's position or position. So it's very sad when if you cannot help, how you dare to use her just for the political purposes, and it's really sad. But that's the real picture actually, and that unfortunately some people, they don't get the message even the movie sends in Atije herself, and they keep doing, even they're harming her as well. So she was good. Like I know one situation when they ask her, what are you gonna do now? You become a very famous, you know, you met Brad Pitt and you met this and that, you know. She doesn't, nothing, you know, it's for her, you know, she don't know anyone. She said, well, I will be with my bees, you know, like I love my bees until my legs are working properly. And if I cannot walk anymore, I will become a singer, she said. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Samir, you shot throughout several seasons of the year. Well, you have winter, autumn. Did you also shoot in spring and summer?
Oh yes, summer and spring was I mean, every season was very important. Winter we were using to shoot as much as possible, struggle into life in that kind of environment. Summer as well was very interesting because it was very dry. It's completely different landscape, and you see the changes of the landscape, but not changing her behavior. And so we were present every season. We will manage to go and shoot. Summer were horrible. I mean, Atije is really tough. She can walk for hours without any problem, but when you have to carry the equipment, I'm not complaining. I mean, that's the part of the job, but it's like 40, 42 degrees Celsius. It's really hot to keep shooting.
Did you make any special, did you make any special considerations, like for shooting the exteriors in the winter or when it was autumn or summer?
I mean, winter, when the snow came, because how we managed to go in the winter was, I remember that the snow fall, and it's very hard to go there. If you don't have a special car, you cannot go there. Even if it's rainy, if you're there and if rain fall, it's not possible to go back. So it was really always tricky. And we knew that winter is really hard, and none of us is like us with a very good special driving skills of this kind of vehicle. So we were not very keen to go. But once Atije, I remember it was like 2 or 3 weeks when the temperature were really low. Nobody could come, or even she could not leave her mother alone at home to walk for 4 hours one way, because who will put some wood to not her mother to survive, not to freeze? And they didn't have food, so she called and she said, like, please bring us something somehow. And we tried to find a way how we can organize ourselves. And I think I have that picture when it was the first winter when.
Did you have any issues with the high and low temperatures with the DSLRs?
I want to show you. We found her. I mean, I don't remember that we had a situation when it was, because when we were shooting on the very heat, we will always try to use the shirt to cover yourself, and we didn't have problems. I don't remember when it was overheated, the camera, that you couldn't use it, or the winter when we were going during the day, when it's sunlight, it's not very cold. It's cold, but it's not very cold to be able to have problems. No, I don't. It serves us very well. I really don't remember that we had any issues with that.
Okay. Were you going to say something else? I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you.
I wanted to tell you the story when Atije called us, and we were on the way to bring her food, and we saw her because she didn't know whether we are coming or not. Because she called, she said, and she don't know if we are coming or not. But that was the moment when we went, because we said, okay, if we didn't find you, what are you gonna do? You don't have food, you have nothing left. Your mother and you are there. Nobody can come because of the snow to bring you food. What are you gonna do? And then she told us, yeah, well, I have some honey for the bees in the spring in the beehives, which are the forest. So probably I will manage to go there to get some honey to survive. And the scene with the dog is basically, we said, okay, let's go there. Let's see how you're gonna do. And that's the moment when we shot this closing scene. She interacting with the dog, even the dog was very hungry. She was carrying the dog in the hand when we saw her, because it was so cold that the dog stopped walking, so she needed to keep going. And she was on the way to go to the village to risk, actually. But yeah, we got her.
Samir, I have a question for you. I'm Jessica. Hi.
Hi, Jessica.
I want to ask you, what is your favorite part of the movie, and what is the best thing that you learned about film and the story, because it's a lot about wisdom. So,
I mean, very good question. Thank you. The best part of the movie is her relation with the mother. For me, that's something that, as a witness and as someone who went through the entire process and know what it's in the movie, what it's not in the movie, that's the part that I like the most. And I can tell you that when I was going on the festivals, I'll try to see most of the projections. So I saw the movie, and I have always even I was part of the, you know, the shooting process and everything. When I'm watching the movie, I still have moments of goosebumps and recalls of the situations when we were there and how it was and everything. So particular, yes, I can say the intimate moments of her and her mother were, for me, something that will always stay in my memory. The wisdom, what I've learned, many things. No matter how much we are aware, or let's say converted, we are aware about environmental and about importance of what she told, um, the way and how she is bringing that message, for me, was like revelation. When we first time shot the moment when she opened the beehive, getting some honey, and saying half for you, half for me, that was like the moment when even, we were, the directors were like, yeah, this is the message that the movie should bring. So that stuck us to try to find the way how you're going to tell the message half for you, half for me. Luckily, I think that Honeyland managed to, and Liu and Tamara, they're really amazing. Sometimes when we were discussing, I was like, how, like this is really hard to, or like, oh, why do you want me to 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 shoot this? I don't think so. It's very important, but when you see it in the movie, you appreciate why the directors are there, and like what is their vision of certain emotions and certain scene, that you're more concentrated on the framing, or try to make it looks good, while you're missing basically why they need that shot and where they're going to use it.
¿Alguien quiere preguntar otra cosa?
Yes, I have a question. You were saying that in the very beginning you were looking for like something more commercial, isn't it? Like how was the reaction after all this movie came out for the people that you were working in the very beginning?
I mean, they're very proud. We cooperate with them through the entire process. They understood. It was very hard to convince them, because like after 3 years not finishing the project, they become very suspicious. But then we had enough footage to show them. Now they're very proud. Come on.
yes, I imagine. But all this time and everything, like they
yes.
were expecting something, and then you are in the Oscars. I imagine
Yes.
that for them also was like, wow.
No, for them was maybe even more wow than for us. But it's really, the entire process was really interesting, with the raising the funds and how people were supporting, and in the end, in the entire end, we managed to finish the movie thanks to the San Francisco Film Fund, where we applied and we didn't know, we were desperately searching for any kind of funds to apply, and luckily we got support to be able to finish the post-production and sound design and everything to make it how it is. Even we had some shooting days when the mother died, so it was really we were rushing. Sundance was in front, and it was like, oh my god, in Lebanon, what we gonna do in Lebanon? Thinking about the politics, even, like maybe Sundance will not select our movie when they find out that we have sound design in Lebanon. I said, no, she's amazing. But actually, I had another movie that I produced, which was on Sheffield Docks in Sheffield, where I met Rana, and I was like, my because I only saw one movie of her, which is really amazing, that she did, Panoptic. Uh, I was like, okay, if London Film Festival and Sheffield are engaging her to give us a masterclass about sound design, she must work. So, yeah, it was really good choice, and her passion when she saw the material, it was like, no, I really want to be part of the project. So it was really, we were lucky to have her as well.
Nice.
She was in Los Angeles after everything. We met in Los Angeles in the end.
Okay.
Very good. And anything that you think you now seeing the process and the movie are taking some distance from the material, is anything that you think you would have done different, that you regret, that you think, I mean, not that all the experience that now you got and for to move forward, but now seeing it with some distance, is anything that you would have done different?
I don't know if I would do it differently, because like it's a really big distance. What it stuck to me, because we had like 400 we did. We were kind of lost in what we shot, what kind of scene. As a cinematographer, you have a distance during the editing process, so you're not involved. So you completely rely what the editor will choose and the directors will choose. Um, I think that they took the best what could be taken of what we shot. Maybe there's something that I recalled before about some moments that I was personally more happy to see them, but they were not good in storytelling. So like maybe they're better shot moments, but
of course
not serving the story. So I don't want to change anything from this perspective, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Samir, I want to ask you how this movie changed your life and the project you want to shoot in the future, and the way you will select your requirement for documentary.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we are all in the situation of this COVID-19 or Corona crisis, which interrupted all our lives somehow. And with the success of Honeyland, there were some future projects that we were developing and we were thinking about, but unfortunately, nothing is happening at the moment. So that's why I'm thinking to shoot a short movie with a script that I wrote when I was a student, and I was like, this is very good. I was very thinking about trying to write something with two characters, interior. When you don't have a budget, and now it's the right moment to do so. I mean, we will see. It's very early to say, because January, after the Oscars, somehow everything gets slower. We had several more events after that, so we were not able to start new projects, all of us. Actually, Femi, my colleague, before the lockdown of Europe, he got an offer and he went to Wuhan. So he went in China to shoot some documentary with American and Chinese directors. And he's back now in Macedonia, and he's in quarantine. So yeah, we'll see. Next projects as a team, I don't know when we will collect again to work on the mutual project. Probably when the directors come up with an amazing idea that we said, like, yeah, let's do it. I know that they're doing, both of them, Tamara and Ljubo, are working on some short projects which are related to the situation. And maybe we'll work on them soon. One is documentary. Yubo is stuck to documentary, and Tamara is really more into fiction. So we'll see what will come out next.
And you, in your next documentary, you will want to have other type of camera, or you want still with small cameras? And
yeah, well, depends on the project. Like the one that we were developing and we're supposed to start shooting in end of April, which we are still waiting to start shooting. It's about science and technology, so it's completely different topic, different environment. It requires better quality image and different type of lighting. So production wise, I will not say, yeah, I want to shoot it again with the DSLR, which will be very maybe it will work, but it's a project that I suppose will have bigger budget, so you will be more comfortable to choose the better equipment. And regarding the types of camera, I'm not some kind of person who prefer, like, I want to work with this. I mean, really, if the budget doesn't allow, I can continue shooting with DSLR, and I can try to make to get out of the situation as much as possible. But if it served the story, if doesn't, then I will try to fight to say, like, come on, let's get something which will be more useful. You know, I don't think so that the science and technology and cyborgs and bionic technology will be justified to shoot in HD nowadays. So I cannot say that we will shoot with Nikon's 800, or, you know, at least something with a bigger quality that you can work later on in post. I'm looking forward with some other cameras, to be honest, to experience.
Quetzali, ¿querías preguntar algo?
Yes, I want to know about the work with other cinematographer. If you before you worked with him, and what do you think now? Is something that you like? You say that was good to have two cameras to shot.
Yeah.
But in general, was a good experience to work with other cinematographer. And what's the first? I mean, he was like another operator camera, or more as a cinematographer? Who decide the style, and how was that kind of work together?
I will, I was talking the other day with a friend of mine who's studying film editing, and we were making jokes. I was like, oh, I have to talk with the students in tomorrow with some students in Australia in the academy. I said, oh, I know someone I will tell to ask. I said, what do you want me to tell them to ask? I said, like, tell them to ask why I'm always working. I don't have a project that I'm the only cinematographer, you know, DOP. I'm always sharing. And I like his comment. He said, like, you are the attitude of the cinematographer. So it's half for me, half for you. So, you know, like, I really, you know, I don't care sharing the credits because really, really, the Honeyland and Lake of Apples, it's really mutual work. Sometimes I said that when I was watching, I was like, I know some of the scenes which I was not present, but we were so kind of, we have some kind of similar eye sensitivity, even we are completely different as a personalities. But at one point, the directors and the producers said that anyone from the crew, if it was missing, we will not manage to make what we did. So everyone brings something unique to the project. And regarding your question about the style, we had this moment of shooting, and we always would take photos when we knew that we will include interiors of the mother and we knew how it will look like, because we already made several photos inside, portraits, and we were like, oh, this is very nice, so we will try to shoot this period of time. If we are working with the kids, with the cows, when it's a house, let's try it, because it's everyday activity and you can go back whenever you want. We were lucky to shoot the entire scene with the cows, the mess, only one day. And we were trying to choose when it's not very when it's not sunlight, when it's overcast a bit. And at that scene we have mixed kind of lighting, but we wanted to be more overcast in that scene. So we will discuss this kind of thing, and it was a really nice cooperation. I won't say one was more important than the other. We were like really involved. There were many times when he was working on another project and I was only with the directors, and vice versa. When I was busy, he'll be with one the director. And when we will be in the village, four of us, we will split. Tamara and I will go and work with the mother and Atije, and they will go and follow the situation with the kids. If something big is happening in one side, the director will come and will bring the rest of the team to be able to shoot the situation with two cameras. And you will, what's very, because we had the two lenses, and sometimes you feel that from this point of view your situation is something more, and you just like you will say like, give me that give me that lens, and you will just check and then grab and put it and continue. Or or many times we don't even change. We just switch the cameras, and I just keep going because I felt that I'm going to use it. And he as well was using the same method. And in the beginning was problematic when you start, because the previous project was more controlled. We knew what we want to shoot. It was a documentary, but many of the things we used as the real people, but we put them in context, and we had the possibility to control the scene. In Honeyland, you don't have possibility with that. So in that situation, was sometimes very hard how to avoid each other, because you're following one scene, and he will be, or I will be motivated to go two steps further because the frame will be much nicer, and then we will get to each other frame. That was one of the difficult parts of two cinematographers at one point. That's the only disadvantage, I will say. But then you're used to this, and then when you're shooting, you just kind of, with the side of your eyes, you follow where it is, and you know where is the safe frame to get.
Yeah, I didn't notice before that was two cinematographers. Then it feels very, very good. Like you can feel the same.
Yeah.
That's
And
really good.
I remember we were driving, and after one shooting, probably it was something else. I don't really remember, but I remember Ljubomir. They were finishing the credits, and they asked us like, okay, you have to decide who's gonna be first in the credits. So like, I don't care, like whoever, we will both be on the credits, nobody can. Yeah, it's really, we become a family, I will say. It's really blessed to have a small crew, and when you really enjoy working with each other, even when we were fighting, you know uh, it was very productive because we were fighting to make it better for everyone.
And who decided to have two cinematographers? Was that from the beginning, or was some
Yes.
situation that came later?
It was from the beginning because the director Ljubomir, who is a producer as well, he knew that for 3 months of shooting, for what he was thinking to do, will not be able to do only with one cinematographer. So that's why Tamara became a second director, and we were working to make as much as possible shooting, because when you go, you have a lot of expenses and you're limited. You don't have electricity to charge the batteries. You don't have enough battery on the laptops, or like several laptops to make backups, because you cannot carry all of this. We will need to go twice with the same car to be able to transport, with the food, with everything. And when you have just 3 days, you try to get the maximum. If it's one director and one cinematographer, then we will have half of the footage we managed to make, and we will need probably much more time to shoot. So it was the same with the previous project, that and the experience we had, we said like, yeah, we can do it. And we started, and we keep good, you know. But we really fall in love with what we were doing. We knew nobody else knew what, even the first people who gave us the first money were, even some of the sales agents that we were trying desperately to meet and to try to close the budget to be able, they were like, give me 50 minutes version for TV, you know, we are not looking for. We had so many that kind of situations, so it was really hard to finish the project, to find the money to finish.
Samir, I have a last question about the space in the house is really small. How you take the decision who will be inside, so the director or you or the other cinematographer, because you don't have space for more one.
No. There will be probably two, but that will be very difficult, because like Tamara will really want to be, Ljubomir as well. So whoever it's there, they will change each other. And also we will switch, because it was not very pleasant to stay longer than 30-40 minutes when the door is closed in the winter, you know, when even if it's open, you know, the entire smoke it's getting when the stove is working. And the stove was working even in the summer, because she will need to cook, for example. So she will use it. Who will decide? Yeah, most of the time we were two inside, one cinematographer and one director. Sometimes you're gonna be very mad when in the middle of the shooting, because they don't know what is happening until they get in, and probably they want to give you, and you think that you're now it's something happening, and if somebody cross by the door, then you notice the difference in the lighting. And I know that there is one scene which it was really well used. I know it's not the door, but the sound design, when you put that the door is like doing, then it's justifying why the lighting gets that it's not the person who passed by, but just the door, the wind of the door, close it and open it again. And it was that was the way how you solve the problem of somebody passing by the light and making shadow or shutting the light. Yes, Rosalie?
Hi. I know you have already told us, but can you please repeat what kind of lenses?
Yeah, we used 2470 and 7200, and we had one macro 105. I think it was there were Nikon
All were Nikon.
I think all were Nikon, or one was Sigma. I have to check that. I think it was all Nikon. Yeah. We had 150, but it was in very bad condition, so we never used it. In the beginning, we were having with us, and it was funny when we bought a 5D to be able to shoot 4K. Then we faced another problem. Yeah, okay, we had a crop of the footage, which was not very useful in the when you're shooting in the room. Yeah, it was more sensitive sensor, so you can push and then you still don't have a noise, but then you have very big files which take time to transfer, and then we're like, no, forget about 4K, continue with HD. Even with this camera, we didn't have the crop, so we can have bigger wider shot. So yeah.
And finally, how many days of shootings did you have?
It was roughly around 100 shooting days. Yeah, more or less. We never counted, but it was roughly 100 shooting days, and it was 400 hours of shooting material. Yeah.
Did you shoot Mishkor right after shooting Honeyland?
No, it was at the same time. Yeah, Mishko was a very interesting experience because I was approached by a 17 years old director and from my hometown. And I was like, oh, that's so good. And we managed to shoot this with no budget. Everybody were even professional actors. They accepted the offer, and yeah, I mean, I was like, like, yeah, I'm helping 17 years old, and I probably in the beginning I underestimated his capacity and ability, but then I was like really in shock what he was capable to do, taking into consideration that at the same time you're receiving from graduate student or and student who are going to graduate very soon scripts, and you're like, wait a minute, like how, which was whose when he sent me his script. So I was like, no, I thought that I mixed up something. That's why he's very talented director that I was working with, and actually that's one of the most successful in terms of it has the biggest festival life short movie from Macedonia, as far as I know. It was more than 60 festivals around the world.
Oh.
So yeah, but like I didn't have time to pay attention too much on it because we were really focused on Honeyland at the moment. And in between Honeyland, during the Honeyland, I was working as a producer on two other documentaries. One is called Selling Lies, and one is Fake News Fairy Tale. So yeah, that was also in between something or casting, because like here in Macedonia, it's not, I cannot call it a film industry. So you have 2 to 4. There is a year when there was 5 movies which were shot. So there is not enough job for everyone, and you have to find your own way how to survive, let's say. So in between, even though I really want to be focused only on cinematography, because that's my, I want to be a cinematographer. I was forced to do first, second AD, or producer, or even casting director in some projects. So that's why, if you see my background, you will see like Even I had problems here with the people in the industry when I remember when the movie got selected on Sheffield. I applied for fundings for support for the going on the festival, and they were like, okay, like we are confused of your CV, what are you doing? I said like, well, like I really don't care. I can be a driver on the movie, only I really want to be on the movie set. That's it. So when you're coming from the small country where there is a really limited sources and you cannot call it industry, when you try to find your way.
Yes.
But it's really good, like it's I remember my work as a second AD. I got this job because of my cinematography as well, or photography, because the directors, they really, or first AD, they will, because you work with extras, they know that they don't have to tell you. You will see what kind of lens is on the camera, and what is the frame where you have to put and make the blocking and with an extras and the timing. So they use this as a advantage to hire cinematographer as second AD to work with extras. Yeah, and I love people, so it was really easy to talk with anyone.
And have you had any project proposals from other countries maybe after Honeyland?
Well, the one that we are preparing, it's not in Macedonia. It is Switzerland, Holland, and Germany. We will need to shoot, but the director is Macedonian and German production, so it's like international, let's say. I know that I was after Sundance. Actually, it was there was some kind of communication with some Mexican production.
Oh, yes, you should come to Mexico.
Oh, I would love to. Oh, we'll see. I mean, really, nothing in particular. Now everybody are like waiting what will happen. Yes. So I hope we'll get. That's why. So okay, there is no project, but why we should sit and wait? Let's do it something in between.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, I use this moment a lot, and I really somehow I'm very happy that this happened, because after a year and a half of the madness of Honeyland festival circle and traveling and doing nothing, and it was overwhelming for every single member of the crew because we didn't expect it, what will happen in our lives at all. It was really good to be forced to calm down, to see what happened in the last year and a half, to go through all the experiences, and in the end to be able to participate in so many webinars from the masters and my idols that for free, to be able to learn. It was a really good moment for learning, and somehow getting being encouraged to keep going what I started doing.
Excelente. ¿Alguien más quiere decir algo o tiene alguna otra pregunta?
Well, we really appreciate your time, Samir, and thanks for saying yes to the invitation.
Muchas gracias para invitarme.
Sí.
Muy bien.
Thank you so much, Samir.
Gracias.
No puedo, mi vocabulario en español no es suficiente para usar terminologías para explicar mejor. Y pienso que en inglés estaba un poquito mejor.
Sí, estuvo muy bien.
Bien.
Pues muchísimas gracias, Samir. Honeyland es una película maravillosa, de verdad que te toca así profundísimo y es una película que no olvidas, se queda contigo. Y el personaje también, Atille es una cosa increíble, de una fuerza y de un espíritu increíble. La verdad que tuvieron mucha sensibilidad en cómo lo abordaron, en cómo trataron todo, y la verdad que es una película maravillosa, es increíble. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
a usted y mucha suerte por ustedes y por tus proyectos o
Ajá, sus proyectos.
Sus proyectos.
sus proyectos, sí.
Sí,
And
igualmente.
I don't know how it is in Latin America, but I think everywhere you as female cinematographers, you have to fight more with all this around you in the movie industry.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, strong.
Somos fuertes.
Exacto.
Muchísimas gracias, Samir, de verdad, muchas
Sí,
gracias.
gracias.
Un placer compartir contigo, un placer conocerte y estamos en contacto y por favor ven el día que quieras a México, aquí eres bienvenido por todo este grupo y todos.
Y en Canadá también. El día
Canadá.
que se te ofrezca en Toronto, aquí tienes tu casa.
Ok, muchas gracias, muchas gracias. Nos vemos.
Bye, Samir, gracias.
Espera. Yo quiero
foto.
un print screen, sí. Bueno, Denis, Gastón, Flavia, Chels y Freddy. Bueno.
Los que puedan poner video, pongan video, porfa, para la foto. A ver si alguien se anima a poner su foto.
Ahí está.
Bueno. Gastón no tiene.
Bueno, Gastón,
cámara.
no sé, Chels, ahí está Chels.
Uno más. ¿Alguien?
Ok, una más.
Sí, una más.
Okay.
Ok. Gracias.
Gracias,
Samir.
Chao.
Nos vemos.
Bye.
Bye.
Ale, luego nos pasas la foto, seguro tú la tomaste.
Sí, nos pasan la foto.
I will send, yeah.
Oh, yes, please. Okay.